Hey guys, it's Ryan. I'm just working on the WPL C44 KM. I've built it all up, as you can see right here. I've been having issues with the servo. If I do my steer, I've just mounted it on the side at the moment because I have to give it a bit of resistance to show you. It's alright one way, but the gears have stripped internally. You can hear that. That was from me just literally trying to get the steering bump set up. So obviously there's a bit of a dodgy gear spacing in the original build. But as we're looking at the steering, I initially tried bending this more just to keep it more parallel. That was alright, but when it went to full lock, the actual tyres were binding up. You can see where it's been rubbing there. Was binding up on the linkage, and as the tyre had no further distance to go as it came round, what it would do, it would just literally pull the suspension in. So it wasn't true steering bump, where obviously when you hit the suspension, it turns the steering. It was more the steering was causing the bump rather than the bump causing the steer. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make some more linkages. I've got some 3mm silver steel here. I'm going to run a die down at M3 on the end. We're going to run a tap down the eyelets on the linkage, M3 tap. I believe they're M3 anyway, but they're very poor because I can slot an M3 nut on it, but they could be M2.5, but I can't even get my M2.5 die down the original thread, so maybe they are just a poor 3. I'm sure someone will inform me. Get rid of this battery here. And the servo out of my way. So what we've got, we're going to make this linkage on the top, just so I get more clearance on the ground. So we'll put that up the top there. In turn, then that we'll put the steering on top of that. Then I'll have to make a shorter one because I'm going to use the second hole in, and that should give me, if I use a straight rod, then it should give me, because they bent just to clear the diff at full lock. You can just see the clearance there. But if I go on the outer holes and put full lock on, then I'll probably get away with a straight bar rather than a bent bar. So I'm going to measure that out. We'll make a shorter one. Yeah, so the reason why we have a bend on it is so the angle's not so acute binding up on the ball joint. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do sort of a Z shape bar. Hopefully that'll imitate the servo being axle mounted. I'd rather keep the servo horn short so I get more torque. The longer it is, the more travel I've got, the more steering I've got. If I have it lowered down, if you know what I mean, so then that'd steer even more and probably give me more issues, to be honest, because as the tyres hit the chassis linkage at the back side, because of the extra stroke, then I'm going to get some bump. I'm going to get some steering bump. Right then, so we're up in shed. Got my brew on, and we're going to get some linkages made, and hopefully sort the steering out. Let's get cracking. Well, just twigged it silver steel in it, so there's no way I'm going to run that die nut down there. So I'm going to try and heat it up, and then let it cool naturally rather than quench it, and hopefully that way we'll anneal it and it'll soften it up just enough to get the die down and the thread started. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but it is a good thread. It's hard to get into focus there at this close range, but yeah, perfect. So I'm pretty much set with this steering linkage. The wheels are perfectly true. You could say the tracking, I suppose. So I'm just going to measure the screw centres. So that's 93 mil. If I measure the other centres, you're looking about 82 mil. I'm just going to open up one of the links to M3. Hopefully it'll be fine. There we go, and quickly run the tap down it. It's only plastic, so I've got no qualms. Just keep it nice and true. I haven't got a third plug tap, but I don't want to. It's only second stage tapping, but I think the stainless, the linkage will probably cut the rest of the way. There we are. Don't want to go too deep. So that's the olives, or the ball joints if you like, removed from the bottom. You can just see the paint missing here where they were, and positioned them on the top. It's 82 mil, measured from the centres. That seems to pull the wheels true. I'll see more when the tyres are on, but I've done enough thread so we can tweak the length a little bit on those. But that went quite well. Just going to polish up the shaft from where I've heated it up with the blowtorch. Put the extra olive on there on the top with a longer screw, so that's going to be my steering linkage. I have tried this. When the full lock goes on, that olive now will hit the paniard fitting on the metal trusses, axle trusses, but I guess we'll have to live with that. It'll either hit there, or like I say, the steering will hit. So I'm just going to measure up now and measure out the distance of travel, and then make a steering linkage to suit, pretty much in the same process, and I'll check back in when I've done it. Steering linkage is done now. Just click it back together. I've put the failed servo on because I'm still waiting on delivery of the new one. I tried to test it, but it's just the teeth are so bad I can't even get a bit of a turn out of it. But that, much better now. I'm not getting no influence on any of the steering. Tyres seem to be pretty good, although I do need to glue them. I haven't glued them yet. And you can see the straight bar looks a bit more substantial as well. It's about a millimetre diameter bigger, or something like that, maybe half a mil. But yeah, I've gone onto the top now. There's a lot more clearance there. Not going to catch on much. You can see the bent linkage onto the supplied servo horn. 82 mil was pretty good. Looks pretty good on the tyres. As you can see, when I steer, I measured the distance of the steering. Let's just get it moving again. 2 seconds. The teeth are really bad. I can't even shift it. So what I get is at full lock that way, I'm just clearing. That's where I was catching before. The reason why I've done it that length is because as we turn the other way, like I said, the olive inside here, or the ball joint, if you like, call it an olive, it just looks like olives on a pipe connection. But as you turn it around, it does collide with this paniard linkage, So as you look at that side, the distance of the steering is roughly the same from the chassis linkages. So all I've got to do now is either buy a radio with limiting on steering, or when I get to full lock I can still see it probably pulling in a bit, but that's just something I'll have to live with. You can't limit the steering, I guess. But that is somewhat nicer. There's less stress on the joints here. So let me know what you think. Hopefully, it's my first build, first RC. I'm just an engineer, so that's my way around it. Maybe you guys can tell me a better way. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.